Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the 1&D podcast. I'm your host, Vikash, joined by my co-host, Sagar. And today we're going to be talking about the NBA and the playoffs.
Yeah, and I think it's, great that we're finally getting some real, meaningful sports back. The bubble was fun. I enjoyed a couple of the games. Watched the play-in game between the Blazers and the Grizzlies. It was some good fun, and I'm kind of hype. I want to see some good games, and we've already seen some, too.
Right, yeah, so we're recording this on August 18th. So, a couple of the games have already started, but that doesn't really impact our predictions, I don't think, very much. And it just seems like it's going to be a fun playoffs. Like, for me personally, I'm not a big regular season guy for the NBA. Just because I watch a few games here and there. I'll watch the fourth quarter of close games that seem fun. Like, we watched the Nuggets and Lakers game earlier in the season. So that was pretty fun. But playoffs are really when, people start really paying attention. And especially, later in the playoffs when the games aren't so straightforward.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I mean, there's a whole other level of intensity in the playoffs. And a large part of it has to do with, the teams that are not making the playoffs, right? So for the elite teams out there, the regular season, they're going to make it. The games are not necessarily the most impactful after a certain point because early in the season, you already have a general idea of what the seeding is going to be. Honestly, if you told me in the beginning of the year to predict the seeding, I would have easily told you the Bucks are the 1 seed, the Lakers are the 1 seed, Clippers probably the 2 seed, which they are, and that probably Raptors are 2 seed in the East. So in that sense, it's kind of predictable who the top of the top is, and then you get a general idea for who's going to make the playoffs. Again, the 8 seeds are kind of wild cards, as we saw this year. There could have been a bunch of different teams in the West that could have had it. The Suns were doing good, 8-0 in the bubble. The Trailblazers behind Damian Lillard were just on fire, and he carried that team to where they are. And, the Grizzlies did slump. We wish Zion did better so we could see him in the playoffs, but it is what it is, and we're here to give our predictions.
Yeah, Zion had that stupid minutes limit that whole time.
He did.
But also, nobody really expected the Thunder to be that good after they just traded away everyone. And then got Chris Paul only. So everyone thought, what was the percentage chance that they made the playoffs? 0.2?
I think it was 0.3% or something. It was insanely low.
And they're the 5th seed. They're no slouches.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy, man. And so the Mavericks with Luka and KP, and they're 7th seed. So, there's the Chris Paul is no joke.
Right. So you want to start with the 1 seed versus 8 seed matchups?
Yeah, sure. And so I guess we just start with I'm assuming we both are going to pick the 1 seeds here. One of them is slightly more interesting than the other. At least that's what I thought going into today. But after today, I found out that the Magic beat the Bucks in the first game, which is totally just catching me off guard. But still, I think in that series, I have the Bucks winning it. I was going to say in 4, but I guess they'll win it in 5, 6 maybe. What about you?
Yeah, honestly, let's not be Paul Pierce over here and write off the Bucks after one game, right? The Bucks are the Bucks. They're probably just starting slow, and they'll easily beat the Magic. Vucevic, I believe, went off.
He did,
and so, Vucevic is a star.
Yeah,
I don't want to say superstar, but he's a star player. It's just that he doesn't get as much recognition just because he's on the Magic, and so, I think the Magic are slightly underrated, but I don't think they have Aaron Gordon right now. I don't think they can continue this momentum, unfortunately. So
they also don't have their rookie Jonathan Isaac, who I think tore his ACL. So that's another big loss. So you have 2 big pieces that are missing.
Yeah, and I think it's the first round of the playoffs, and a lot of these contenders haven't been playing their starters as much. So they're just revving up the engines, and a lot of these top teams. It feels like the playoffs, the first round is more, getting everyone going just by virtue of the bubble alone, too. So, yeah, I say Bucks probably in, let's say, 5. I think they take the next 4,
Yeah, I
honestly.
had them in 4, so now my guess is 5 or 6. Who knows?
Yeah. And then Lakers Blazers. I think the Blazers will take a couple games here because they've just been on fire. recently. And, there's no home field advantage in the bubble. And so that momentum will carry over. We need to see, LeBron turn it up, Anthony Davis turn it up. And the Lakers don't have their key perimeter defenders. They don't have Avery Bradley to try and lock up Damian Lillard as much as he can. So their perimeter defense won't be the greatest. Now, I believe Damian Lillard does take a step back from his regular season numbers in the playoffs. And who knows why that may be, but this is a completely new playoffs. Like, the bubble is completely new for him. He's been thriving in it, and, he's going to continue playing in it. So, Damian Lillard will probably continue his hot streak. CJ McCollum with his broke back, trying to continue and be an efficient scorer. Yusuf Nurkic is huge for that team, and so he's got to play.
Yeah, no, I would say I kind of agree with you there. They may win a couple games. I'm tending to lean towards one, just because I saw them play against the Grizzlies, and the Grizzlies by no means are a great team, and they still, it was a close game in the fourth, and that's with Lillard giving you 31. That's with Nurkic giving you a 20-20 game, and McCollum pulling up clutch. So going against a well-rested Lakers team with LeBron and AD and Kuzma, and I just don't think it would be feasible to win that many. Plus, I think there's like a big exhaustion factor. The Lakers are well rested, right? They locked up the 1 seed a while ago. I'd say like a week, maybe if not more than that ago. And they've been resting. LeBron James has played I think I checked the stat, 150 less minutes than Lillard, which is 3 full games essentially. And in that time span, Lillard has literally been just carrying this team and willing them to win. That coupled with the fact that McCollum has a broken back, I don't know how. He probably had the what's the word? Adrenaline to get through that game and pull up clutch. I think he's gonna again settle back down. They already made that high, they've had that emotional high of making the playoffs. Nurkic, I watched him play. It was really inspiring. But man, I was watching that game against the Grizzlies, and he looked exhausted. He looked like he was ready to just he was ready to pass out on the court. He looked very tired, and it could have been an emotional factor, of course. But I feel like their conditioning is not where it needs to be for them to make any kind of impact against the Lakers. So yeah,
possibly, but also Nurkic was going up against,
the
Travis Kelce.
He was going
so
yeah.
Valanciunas is no slouch
No.
On the defensive end, and I don't think the Lakers have that comparable center. He'll be going against JaVale McGee or Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard in his prime, I'm not saying, that guy was one of the greatest defensive players of all time. But nowadays, he's not as much of a challenge. So, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying Nurkic is going to have a, field day on the Lakers. But given the fact that, the Blazers have momentum and they've been scoring at a high pace, yeah, they might be tired, but that's why I think they take a couple games, because while the Lakers are going to start revving their engines up, the Blazers have already been revving their engines, and they've been playing playoff basketball for a while. I can see how maybe they would teeter out as well. I mean, there was one year where Damian Lillard took the Blazers all the way to the Western Conference Finals against the Warriors, right? And then they just got demolished. And so, I don't know. With the Blazers, they seem so good and promising in the regular season. And then playoffs come around and something just happens. And they don't perform as well.
Yeah, they definitely don't live up to it. And I'm interested to see what they do this time. Because this time the obstacle is very high. And I would have given them better chances in the past when they didn't show up. So it'll still be a fun game to watch. I'm definitely going to watch it tonight, because it's going to be on at 9 for us, and I'm interested to see what happens.
Yeah, so we're both saying Lakers in 5, Lakers in 6.
Yeah,
for that one.
Mm-hmm.
I want to move on to the 2 seeds now, 2 versus 7s.
Sure. You want to go first?
Yeah, so let's go with the East again. Raptors versus Nets. I don't think this is going to be anywhere near a challenge for the Raptors, just because the Nets don't even have. not even their starters outside of KD and Kyrie, right? Like a lot of their starters are out, and it just doesn't seem like the Nets have much of a chance. I think the Raptors take it in 4 probably.
Yeah, I mean, coaching, depth on the bench, player, like offense, defense.
The Raptors are the most like team in the league, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
like
I know what you mean.
They've got 5-6 players averaging 15 points per game.
Yep.
Not like in their starting lineup, on their bench. It's like they're a great team, and Spicy P always can turn it up. I don't even think he had a good first game, and they won pretty well, I believe.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, unfortunately, the Nets don't stand much of a chance, in my opinion.
No, I don't think so. And I'm in total agreement with you. Raptors in 4 or 5. I just, give the one game because you never know what could happen. But yeah, I think that's a pretty cut and dry 2 versus 7 seed. On the other hand, the West is a little more spicy. What are you thinking about that series?
Dude, I was saying, we were talking about it before, like, the Mavericks are no joke. Like, they can surprise people but, the Clippers are going to take this one, and by virtue of them winning the first game, it's just, like, in such unfortunate fashion, too. Like, Kristaps Porzingis getting ejected in the third quarter for basically nothing.
Dude, I saw that in the morning after you messaged me, like, late at night, and I was like, oh my, they gave him a second technical for that and kicked him out. Dude, that is game changing. That was insane to me.
And what was Morris even doing? Pulling Luka around. They didn't even do any fouls or anything for that. Exactly. And I think that's what incensed. If they had given a foul at the right time, Luka probably wouldn't have gotten as mad. And he didn't even do anything, though, is the thing. Like, why is it so soft? What do you do? Get in his face and yell at him? Maybe push him a little bit?
Or just like an argument I've seen happen in the NBA thousands of times, where there's like a little bit of a push and a shove, and everyone just goes back to their own benches. And in this case, they gave him a technical that resulted in him being thrown out of the game. It was totally like just over the top. I don't like that.
Yeah, it was terrible, and that changed the game.
It did,
because it was still a close game after that, but. There's only so much Luka can do. And that's another thing, though. Like, Luka is great, and so is Kristaps, but they need someone else as well to contend in the future. Like, Clippers are winning this one, most likely, just because there's really... Like, that was a close game, and that was everything the Mavericks could give. Maybe a full game from Kristaps. They'll take, I think 2 games here in this first round, maybe. If they could mimic that first game.
See,
but that's the problem. You need Luka to keep stepping up to that high margin that who knows if he can repeat it,
Yeah, and see, this was the problem with my prediction, right? So before the game started, in my head, I had the prediction that the Mavericks were going to win the series in 7, right? And I was on track. And then that ejection thing, and then I saw the score. I was like, damn. Okay. And I'm gonna say the Clippers in 7 now. I think the Mavs have a decent shot at winning. But if the Clippers get going, and it seems like they are, they're too much to handle, right? You got Kawhi, you got Paul George, Patrick Beverly, who is kind of overrated in both of our opinions. Lou Williams, Montrezl Harrell, once he gets going. Is he even in the bubble?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, once he gets going, he's been out for a while. Clippers. I'm going to say Clippers in 7.
Even if the Mavericks won that first game, I don't think they would have had enough in the tank to take 4 games from the Clippers. I think that would have been too tough, honestly. Because, Kawhi and Paul George, they weren't on their game in the first half, it seemed. So, those are 2 superstars who just can take over any game alone, let alone together. So... We'll see. I don't know. The chemistry between them two hasn't seemed to be the greatest, Like, they're not... I mean, to be fair, they're not the ball distributors or anything, but... you think of Kristaps and Luka, they're a good duo, right? Luka will drive in and kick out to Kristaps, who can, stretch 3 anywhere on the court. And then you got, LeBron and AD. They're a great duo, but LeBron's a great teammate in general. It's like the connection between Paul George and Kawhi doesn't seem to be as fluid, but it doesn't really need to be given how the Clippers play and how just good they are as a whole. But, their defense as a whole might be overrated, in my opinion.
Yeah,
it doesn't seem. Everyone was like, "Oh, they're not gonna really let people score." The defense thing is
so stupid, dude. They had no answer for Luka, right? And even when he was the single offensive threat, realistically, he was still scoring. So the Clippers' defense is overrated, in my opinion. They're talking about having elite perimeter defenders and things, and I'm just saying, man, that's overrated.
I mean, they do have pretty good elite perimeter defenders. I mean, Kawhi and Paul George, you can't deny that they're good.
They're
it's
good.
Just that Patrick Beverly is a little overrated, in my opinion. He's annoying, but he won't really stop a Luka Doncic or a Russell Westbrook type guy.
Yeah, and this is a little bit of a foreshadowing, but if they can't stop Luka, who are they? What bodies are they going to throw at Braun? Right? It's gonna be interesting. I'll say that much.
Yeah, I mean, regular season they had a good mix between the first few games.
Who's it gonna be?
I mean. What do you mean on the Clippers?
Yeah.
I mean, Kawhi Leonard or Paul George.
Oh, man. I will be excited if that happens.
I mean, it's already happened. We've seen what happened.
Yes.
I mean,
Lakers won.
We'll see. Yeah, and LeBron played some really good defense, and hopefully he can carry that over into the playoffs, too. I'd love to see defense LeBron,
Yeah. All right, then. I think we move on to I guess we could do the 4 and 5 seeds, since we're going in that order. Pacers and Heat. I have the Heat winning. How about you?
I'll go with the Heat as well. It just seems like the Pacers would need TJ Warren to start heating up, and he's slowed down in the bubble, and Victor Oladipo hasn't really shown up too much. I mean, he scored decently well, but not to the superstar numbers that he used to put up. So I think Victor Oladipo is still getting back in the swing of things. Same with the Heat, they play very unselfish basketball, just like the Raptors, and it just seems like Jimmy Butler is in T.J. Warren's head, and he's defending him and everything, and so it just seems like the Heat are gonna take this one.
Yeah.
It'll be a close one though. I could see it going to 7.
Yeah, I would say 6. Yeah, Jimmy Butler's been yapping at Warren. I watched a little bit of the game. Oladipo, he had that major injury. He's been out for a while. Coming back, it takes, a player time to get, back to normal after a pretty big injury. And so he'll need some time, and I don't expect him to be, peak form anytime soon. So
wait, do you think the Clippers and Mavericks game will go to 7?
Yeah, I said it would go to 7. I think the Clippers will win in 7.
Okay. I could see that. That would be kind of fire.
Yeah. And I'm still giving the Mavs a puncher's chance. They have a chance. Is that a saying?
Luka
I don't
is
know.
Luka, man.
Anyway, yeah, the Heat Heat in 6. I would say you're saying 6 or 7. I think we agree there. On the other side, on the Western side, Rockets and Thunder. We were praising Chris Paul. What do you think of this one?
See, now this one is like the closest one in my opinion out of all these games so far.
Yes, I would agree.
And I'd honestly, given that Russell Westbrook isn't going to play the first few games, I think the Thunder are going to take it. I think
interesting.
Steven Adams is going to be a problem for the Rockets, and he's guaranteed going to score 20 points per game. So you got that. And the Thunder play also unselfish basketball. No one's like the real star on the team. And, dude, Chris Paul just has a little bit of a grudge against the Rockets at this point, for good reason. And I just like the way the Thunder look. I mean, Rockets are the pretty much favorites, and I could see them winning in like 5 games. But at the same time, the Thunder are just like those sneaky competitors that, I don't know, the Rockets just don't show out in the postseason. Like, who knows? First game, they're going to shoot 0 for 18 to start the freaking postseason probably or something. And the Thunder are just going to look dominant. I don't know. I don't think the Rockets just are as full of a team, especially without Russell Westbrook. How long is he out for?
I'm not sure. He has a quad injury. I think they said he could be back after a few games into the series. So I have no idea what the prognosis is. It's still up in the air. I'd say like 2-3 games.
The problem is it going to be too late at that point?
Too late, too little, too late.
Yeah. Because Westbrook is amazing, right? Like,
He
he
is
is
really good.
huge for that team. And so you take him out of the lineup, and you still don't have a big to answer Steven Adams. So those early games, I'd lean towards giving him to the Thunder. And then once Russell Westbrook comes back, how many more games do the Thunder need to win at that point to take the series? And you don't want to rush Russell Westbrook back. You risk him injuring himself a little more, less explosiveness that hinders his whole performance as a whole. So it's like, I don't know. Do you really want him back as soon as possible? I guess it really depends on how many games the Thunder win in the first few.
Yeah, and I think so. Just off the top of my head, every time, just like from my memory, Chris Paul's playoff streaks have always been like ruined by him getting injured, right? They were literally a Chris Paul injury, a non-injury away from beating the Warriors in that 7-game series a few years back. And, I remember some series with the Clippers where they were in the playoffs, they had a good run, and then he got hurt. So I'm saying, man, Chris Paul is great in the playoffs, and I see the Thunder winning this. I would say Thunder in 6-ish. Not sure. I would agree with you. It's very important for them to win the first few games because that Russell Westbrook, threat is just imminent, and he's a wild card. He's so good. He could throw it all for a loop. And I also agree with you about Steven Adams. The Rockets play small ball to the extreme, and Steven Adams is like the opposite of that. He will get all the rebounds. I will say that.
And that's a big reason why the Rockets need Russell Westbrook, because he's a big rebounder for them.
Exactly.
And so, yeah, the fact that they won't have him, it's just going to be tough. I mean, James Harden will do James Harden stuff. He'll score a ton. But I just don't know if they'll have enough defensively or anything to take the first few games from the Thunder without Russell Westbrook. I think Russell Westbrook is probably the cog for that team right now. I mean, obviously James Harden, is he the point guard or shooting guard? Who knows? They probably just play whatever position. It's positionless basketball at this point.
Yeah.
But I think in the paint, Russell Westbrook, nobody on the Thunder can stop Russell Westbrook.
No.
And nobody's going to stop James Harden either. Nobody can stop James Harden in general. He's just one of the most prolific scorers in NBA history. The problem is he's not going to score enough to win the whole game. He's going to have to put up 70-point games if he wants to win alone, in my opinion. So I think the Thunder take the first few, and then the Rockets dig a hole that they can't come out of once Russell Westbrook comes back. If Russell Westbrook comes back game 3, then I give them a good chance.
Mm-hmm.
I give them a good chance in general. It's just a good series.
Yeah.
And I'd say Thunder in 6 or 7 as well, just because it all hinges on Russell Westbrook.
Mm-hmm. I would agree. And I think that'll be a fun series to watch. I think it's going on right now, right?
Possibly.
I could be mistaken. Anyway, moving on. I guess we could stay in the West, Nuggets and Jazz. I have the Nuggets win. I don't have the Nuggets. I do have the Nuggets winning. Dude, here's my problem with these two teams, okay? I always confuse them. I don't know which one is which. Sometimes I think
Donovan just know that the Utah is the most racist place for the NBA.
Okay, there goes our marketing, Utah. Thanks.
Oh, great, Utah. Darn, I don't get any free potatoes.
My friends in Utah. I think Idaho is the potato state.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Anyway.
Actually, yeah, the Rockets are playing the Thunder right now, and they're winning 58-39 pretty handily.
Oh, never. There goes our prediction.
I mean, possibly, but
okay.
We'll see what happens. It's still the first half.
Yeah.
Eric Gordon's actually doing well.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we'll see how that plays out.
Right.
Back to the Nuggets and Jazz. Nuggets win. They just have so many great players, man. Donovan Mitchell is good.
The Nuggets are the future of the NBA, man.
I watched the first game. It was basically Donovan Mitchell against everyone else. Rudy Gobert, not really an offensive threat. He's great on defense. Held Jokic to 29. Okay, believe it or not, that's still amazing.
Right. He deserves a MVP for that, I guess.
Yeah. Who else is scoring on the
Joe
Jazz?
Ingles.
Joe Ingles. Okay.
I think the second best scorer on the Jazz right now is Jordan Clarkson.
Dude, he was impressive. He was very impressive. He was shooting threes. There was a dry spell in game 1 where he wasn't making it, but I do like their coaching. Their coaching is if you miss it, just take it again. they're not going to get mad, so they have that confidence to keep on shooting. And that's what kept them in the game. Like that 3-point shooting, Jordan Clarkson scoring, and Donovan Mitchell. But, Mike Conley is out for a few games. Him coming back will make an impact, but I think, again, it's a little too late since the Nuggets are just so much better. Jamal Murray was so clutch. I watched that game, man. He made every single clutch shot towards the end of the game. He took over. Like in the first half, didn't really have that many points, but by the end of the game, including overtime, he had 36. He was just on point.
And Jokic made that clutch 3 in overtime to basically ice the game.
Yeah, exactly. Jokic is just amazing too. Man, they just have so many good players. Like even their bench,
it's kind of crazy.
Is amazing. Like it's. I think it's a wrap in 5 for the Nuggets.
5. I don't even give the Jazz a game, honestly. Like they need a 57-point performance from Donovan Mitchell every night to even like make it remotely close, honestly. I think the Nuggets sweep it. They're just so deep, and I love me some Michael Porter Jr. If they give him the ball too, and he starts going and he gets off, like he's also a game changer. And I think in the first half he scored decently, and then he kind of like Murray was on his game, so he didn't really want to give it up at that point, which could be a downfall for a game or two for the Nuggets, right? Like if Jamal Murray just like thinks, oh man, I'm the guy, let me take the shot. Because I think there was one I saw a highlight, if you could call it a highlight. Jamal Murray had 3 people on him, and Michael Porter Jr. was wide open on the perimeter, and he was shooting well. And instead of like giving it to Michael Porter Jr., and I'm pretty sure Murray saw him. Murray took the contested 3 with 3 people in his face. So
was this towards the end of the game?
Not the best decision making. I think it was in like the first half.
Okay, then never mind. But yeah,
second quarter.
I like MPJ. He's really good. I would say he was scoring well, and then he cooled off a little in the second half. And because he's kind of a defensive liability, they subbed him out late in the fourth and in overtime. And I think...
And they didn't even use Bol, who's the greatest player on their team.
Exactly, dude. Mini Kevin Durant. Maybe he's bigger than Kevin Durant. I haven't checked his height. But, yeah, Nuggets in 4 or 5, I would agree.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, we were talking about this the other day, like, 50-point performances in the finals who lost, and LeBron's kind of the only one.
Yeah.
In the finals, at least. But then there were quite a few in the playoffs. And now Donovan Mitchell's up at the basically top of the list next to Michael Jordan against the Celtics, and then Elgin Baylor, who was, I think, also against the Celtics. Like, those two put up, I think, 60-plus in the playoffs, and Mitchell is up there with them, and Wilt Chamberlain, and obviously, and those guys. So, the other people who put losses, I wrote it down. Obviously, Michael Jordan against the Celtics, Ray Allen, Russell Westbrook, LeBron James, Billy Cunningham, Michael Jordan again, Kobe Bryant.
Oh wow!
Those are the players who put up 50 points and lost.
He's in rare territory. He's also only 23, so he has a bright future.
Yeah, actually, we've like the young people like Luka, whatchamacallit, Donovan Mitchell. I think Jason Tatum had a good game too. It's like all these young guys are doing so well in their their first playoff performances. I know. What's his name? Jason Tatum had already been in the playoffs until Donovan Mitchell. But like as a debut for Luka Doncic, that was crazy. And then, these young guys are doing well. And it'll be fun to watch them. Unfortunately, Jazz just don't have it, in my opinion. And the Nuggets are going to take it probably in 4.
Yeah, and speaking of the Celtics, I think we covered that, and that's the only game left in the first round. I have them beating the 76ers. Honestly, the 76ers are a team which I thought I would care a lot about, and then just do not care a single, F about. Like, man, they're just, I don't know. It's so milquetoast to me. Not even entertaining. I'm going to give it to the Celtics.
Yeah, Celtics in 5, I'd say.
Yeah, Brett Brown, not the best coach. Ben Simmons is out.
Simmons.
Yeah, it's a wrap.
Yeah, at that point, it's like, Gordon Hayward's out now, but Gordon Hayward wasn't really
he wasn't
the star of the team.
Exactly.
And so yeah, Celtics in probably 5.
I would agree.
I'll give the Sixers 1 game, just so happened they squeeze by a game or something.
Yeah.
Round 2 though. Round 2 might get interesting.
Yes, it will.
So you want to move to the 1 seeds again?
Yeah, we can do the 1 seeds.
So for me, I think we had similar prediction. What did you predict in the Rockets? Rockets Thunder?
Yeah, I did. I think we had the same exact predictions.
You thought the Thunder were going to take it?
Yeah.
So it'd be Lakers Thunder.
Yes.
Which I think would be like a nice scraggy series, and like people are going to really fight for that dub. Lakers take that one though.
Lakers in 5.
Opinion. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say Lakers in 6.
Okay. Giving CP3 some credit. Okay.
Dude, I think the Thunder have been underrated this entire season, and I think they're still being underrated in the playoffs.
He's going to destroy his Banana Boat brothers in the first 2 rounds.
Possibly,
Melo,
dude. You never know.
Then, CP3.
And then let's see, the Bucks would play the Heat.
I'm going to say the Bucks in 7. I think that's going to be a long series.
I'd say the Bucks in 6, honestly. Just because
I think the Heat will come in with a plan. They'll keep Giannis at the perimeter as much as they can. I mean, the Magic kind of kept him at the perimeter, which is kind of insane. I was watching a little bit of the game, and sometimes he was forced to take these really ill-advised 3-point shots, and they just hopefully they get on their groove. I like Eric Spoelstra. I think he's a really good coach. Jimmy Butler is a dog. I love Jimmy Butler. One of my favorite players. I love the grind he brings to the team. They have some veteran players. They have Andre Iguodala, NBA Finals MVP 2015. For letting LeBron James only score 32 points or whatever he did. And double-digit rebounds and assists. But yeah, that's a little rant. But Heat and, Bucks in 7. I think the Heat will give them a run for their money.
Yeah, I honestly think the Bucks will be in their groove by that point and probably take it in 5.
Interesting. Okay.
I think Giannis just dominates that series.
Gotcha. Then what about the Lakers and Thunder? Oh no, we already covered that. Yeah, Lakers in 5 or 6. All right.
Then it's Clippers and Nuggets.
Clippers and Nugs.
No, dude.
I have the Nugs in 7.
Do you really?
Yes. I love their depth. I love their bench, and man, they have offense in every single manner you want. They got a great rookie. They got an excellent shooter in Jamal Murray who's clutch AF. You got Jokic at the center and distributor, and he's just amazing too. Like, I think this is gonna be a great series, and I have the Nuggets winning in 7.
I wanna say the Nuggets win in 7, but I don't think they have the playoff experience that Kawhi Leonard has and Paul George and everything. And I was leaning towards Nuggets, but if I look at it realistically, I'd go with the Clippers in 7. Also because, the NBA is probably going to rig it to make it so that the Clippers-Lakers is the Western Conference Finals.
That's what they did in Game 1 of the first game the Clippers played in, so you're not wrong.
Yeah, so I've got Clippers in 7.
Okay, I got Nugs in 7.
I also, but I think you and I are on the same page in that I don't think the Clippers are as good as people are hyping them up to be.
They're not, and it's very annoying when people think they're just automatically the champions.
Like, the thing is, they don't have that defensive prowess that everyone says they do, but they have more offense than one would expect. Like, Kawhi is scoring more than he used to. Paul George can score very efficiently at any time. The whole team, Montrezl Harrell, Lou Will, the only bad scorer on that team is Patrick Beverley. And so, they're not living up to expectations defensively, but they're beating expectations offensively, which is the exact opposite for the Lakers, I feel. Like, I think the Lakers are scoring less than the people expected, but they're playing better defense than people expected them to.
Yeah, and that's going to be a series to watch, in my opinion. That's going to be great.
So you got Nuggets in 7, I've got Clippers in 7.
Gotcha. And then I guess we move on to Raptors and Celtics, which I think will be another easy route for the Raptors. I don't think
Raptors
the Celtics are going to give... Dude, the Raptors are being slept on. People don't...
I think the Raptors will play a bunch of close games, but win them.
Yeah, they're very clutch. Nick Nurse, I love as a coach. I think he's one of the top 2 or 3 coaches in the league, along with Eric Spoelstra, Doc Rivers. So that should be a good series.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good series, but I think the Raptors will take most of the games, even if they are close, just because I don't know. I think they have the better mentality. I mean, obviously Jason Tatum is proven to be clutch, and maybe Jaylen Brown kind of sometimes here and there, but they're not. I don't know. They don't have the Raptors are just high off their recent win, and I think they're trying to prove themselves that was Kawhi the reason they won it all? Maybe, maybe not. I think that whole team was great, and they've been playing great basketball with and without Kawhi. So we'll see where the Raptors go. I think the Raptors take it.
I think the reason they won is because someone tore their ACL and someone tore their Achilles. I think that's the reason they won. But putting that aside, that's an easy one for the Raptors. They are the defending champs. I will give them that credit.
Yeah.
So next, it would be the Lakers against the Nugs, or for you, the Lakers against the Clippers. And I'll just start off with my prediction. I think the Lakers will win this series just because I believe in LeBron James. There's really nothing else I can really say. I think he's proven his record. He's been to 8 straight finals, and the only reason he didn't go to 9 straight was because he got hurt, in my opinion. Man, no contest. Lakers win this just off LeBron's goatness. It's a very subjective analysis, but it's my analysis.
I think LeBron is the reason they win this as well against the Clippers. Playoff LeBron is no joke. Even at age 35, he's slowing down, getting those gray hairs, but dude, he just is something else in the playoffs, and it's such a wonderful sight to see. So yeah, I'll take Lakers v Clippers. I'll go with Lakers. And nobody's really mentioning. We're not mentioning Anthony Davis for some reason. That man is a bad man,
he could be the second best player in the league. So yeah, it's
legitimately could. Well, as long if Kevin Durant's not playing,
yeah, true.
Then yeah,
true.
But yeah, Anthony Davis, LeBron James, that's such a great duo, and I think playoff LeBron will elevate Anthony Davis, and this is Anthony Davis's first real taste at playoff. Like, yes, he made it a few times on the Pelicans, but did anyone really give them a chance? And now he's like
he didn't
on
have the
a team.
expectations.
Right, and unfortunately, Lakers don't have Avery Bradley. And I think Avery Bradley's huge for the Lakers as a defender, and he was scoring very well too. Like, he was just one of the best players on the Lakers this season, and objectively. But I still think playoff LeBron is just going to take over, and it's going to be a sight to see.
We agree that the Lakers will be in the NBA championship round. Different opponent, but same outcome.
Yeah, we think they're going to be in the finals.
And then on the other side, we would have the Bucks against the Raptors. What?
Now this is going to be a series.
Who do you have?
No, I'll say Lakers and Clippers also go to 7, but bro, I don't know who I have winning against Bucks and Raptors.
I'm just gonna say it. I have the Raptors winning.
I'm gonna go with the Bucks actually.
Okay, fair.
I think the big. I mean, obviously, Kawhi is Kawhi Leonard, bro, and he showed how good he was and how important he was to that team last season. But this season, the Raptors are playing such unselfish basketball. But I think the problem is they kind of stopped Giannis, but stopping Giannis was the same thing as stopping LeBron when Iguodala won his MVP, right? Stopping Giannis is 25 points per game. Now, I can see why the Raptors could win, because outside of Giannis, Middleton's good, not great, and he can flounder in the playoffs. Eric Bledsoe.
Yeah, so this is
whatever.
This is what I was saying, right? The single most important key in this series as a player is not Giannis. Giannis will get his. It's Chris Middleton. If Middleton is not up to par, the Raptors win this.
Possibly, but they do have... is Malcolm Brogdon playing right now?
He's on the Pacers, right?
Oh, he's on the Pacers. I'm dumb.
That's why I'm giving the Bucks screwed up trading away Brogdon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then
Ooh, that's tough.
They don't have anyone.
I don't know, man. They don't. But bro, I think Giannis is that next face of the league type of guy who can take like they didn't call the Raptors the LeBronto Raptors because Kyrie Irving cooked them up. They call it LeBronto because LeBron alone cooked them up. And yes, they are older now. They have more experience. OG Anunoby and Pascal Siakam were babies when LeBron was destroying them.
And remember that OG Anunoby was not in the playoffs last year because he was hurt.
Yeah, and I'm a fan of OG Anunoby, but he also hasn't. I thought he was going to be much better this season than he has been. I mean, we'll see. He's still like recovering. Like that guy had a bad injury, so it's like I don't know. I like OG Anunoby. I like the Raptors a lot, and I can definitely see them in the championship. I just think that it's just like Giannis. It would be a really good storyline for his career to beat the Raptors, right? Like he lost to the Raptors last year pretty handily, and it just feels like he has to take that next step into superstardom and make that championship. And bro, the headlines: LeBron versus Giannis. That would be amazing to watch in the finals.
It would. I just I will give Giannis.
Unfortunately, it'd be a quick finals.
I will give Giannis credit. Yeah, it would. I guess that's a prediction for you. I will give Giannis this credit. He has the opportunity to grab this and beat the Raptors. By no means am I counting him out. So I think Raptors in 7. There's a decent chance the Bucks pull it off. If they do, that just more props to Giannis, in my opinion. So yeah, I think we'll move on to the championship round. And
yeah, I've got the Lakers winning, regardless who their opponent is. Honestly,
who would have thought? Not me. Tell you that. Yeah, I have the Lakers winning as well. And it's going to be the return of the LeBronto Raptors, baby. LeBronto Raptors 2.0. Lakers win it in 4. LeBron's
That's
like,
also a fun storyline.
You thought you were good? Never mind. I'm back. And then they're going to... I'm just joking. Again, I'll give the Raptors the credit they deserve. It'll be
I don't know
Lakers
at that
in
point,
5.
bro. I don't know.
Lakers in 5. That's what I'm going to say.
Oh, that's the credit you give them. You give them one game. Oh man, I at least give. I think the Bucks could take 2 games from the Lakers.
Yeah, well, either series would be fun. The inner fan in me wants Lakers Bucks for what you said, LeBron versus Giannis. But just with the way I was thinking about this being more of a team element in the playoffs, I think the Raptors have that edge over the Bucks, and that's why I have them there. But again, it's a toss-up, and I would love to see both. Yeah, this is going to be a great playoffs.
As a tidbit side note, before we end off the podcast, Brendan Lau is being slept on for AL MVP in the MLB. I know this is a basketball podcast, but he just hit a 3-run home run off of Masahiro Tanaka, who is having a blazing start to the season. And the Rays are winning 4-0 against the Yankees right now. And Brandon Lau is really coming into his own as a superstar player in the MLB, akin to the likes of LeBron James and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Maybe at half the height because he's kind of short.
Okay.
But the power is there, bro. He destroys fastballs, and he's learning to hit those off-speed pitches very well too. And dude, I don't know, he's giving Mike Trout a run for his money. But yes, LeBron James gonna take over the playoffs. I think it's gonna be a sight to see because we won't get many more of these, unfortunately.
Nope, it's coming near the end. Anyway, I think that concludes our NBA playoff predictions. Do you have any other things to say other than your little MLB rant?
No, it's not even a rant. I'm just saying the Rays are goated, and I guess it is a rant. Brandon Lau is underrated. But, yeah, I think it's going to be a fun playoffs. We've already seen some crazy games with the Mavericks. The Nuggets and Jazz was a crazy game. So, crazy games all around. The West just seems like even if the Clippers were to make it to the finals, I'd say if it's Raptors-Clippers, I'd honestly give it still to the Clippers.
Yeah.
But Bucks Clippers, maybe I'd give it to the Bucks. I don't know. The Bucks are a strange team, right? They're very top heavy. Mm-hmm. But we'll see how they do, and it'll be fun regardless of the final outcome, which will be LeBron James holding the trophy,
which is the inevitable outcome. Anyway, I think that concludes the One Indie podcast for this week. Please check us out on all our social media. You can check us out on Twitter, on Instagram. We're And many have been calling me a bronsexual. I let that slide. Check out karmastyles.com, where we're selling some One Indie Podcast merch, along with some interesting and cool designs that we put a lot of effort into. I know Vikas has put a lot of work into a lot of those designs. The logo is clean. You can rep that anywhere you go. And that concludes this podcast.
And stay tuned for some really cool designs coming up in the near future.
Yes, sir. Especially for you anime fans.
Yes, sir. We'll have an anime podcast soon just to, spice it up a little bit, the launch.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening to the One Indie Podcast.